Hey everyone. Welcome. This is season 2 of the Align with Anna podcast. And I'm here with one of my best friends, Alexandria Rollet.
Hello.
Hey girlfriend. Okay, I'm just going to put her info up here so you guys can see it. This is episode 2, the Soulpreneur life. So today we're going to talk about what does it mean to be a soulpreneur and what does that look like? How do we keep our spiritual practices as we're building our businesses? So I'm so excited to have you, girl. Thank you for being here.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
You were like my first. I was like, I need her. Okay, so here's her information. Follow her on Instagram. Right there.
Yep.
And then and then there's her website. Okay, girl. So Alexandria and we met a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah, at this point, yeah.
Girl, 2 years ago. And we met at Synergy, which is kind of like a wellness place here in St. Louis. And she was like telling me about human design. And she blew my freaking mind apart. She's like, you're a projector and I'm a projector. And let me tell you about projectors. I was like, tell me. And then from that day forward, my life completely changed. And then we just became like business besties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
We just like call and text each other and we're just like, okay, do you know about this? Did you hear about that? What do you think about this? And it's just like such a blessing to have like other spiritual entrepreneurs on the path. Like,
for sure.
It's so important, girl.
It's kind of like, what's interesting is that I feel like it's growing a lot, but early on it was hard. It was hard to find like-minded people, you know?
It was, yeah, it was lonely and like, you know, not feeling like you could really be like honest and vulnerable with people. And like, sometimes you can feel like a comparison, you know, like, oh, well, she's over here and I'm over there. But really like, we're often going through the same like waves and emotions and experiences together. And like, why not do it with like a sacred sisterhood or just a squad that you can like really collab with, that you can really open up with, like the village.
Yeah.
The village.
Yes. It takes a village.
It takes a village. Oh my God, girl. Okay, so now I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself. Tell us about you.
Okay, so my name is Alexandria, and I am a business alignment guide. So what I do is I help people understand more about their natural energetics, and then we build their business to match that so that, you know, they can have a business that actually feels really good to them and they're not, you know, overworking themselves, or, you know, they're building a business that they actually can't hold for a long amount of time, because that's often what happens is, you know, we go ham and just like try to build this thing, and then, you know, a year down the road or whatever it is, we realize, oh my goodness, I can't sustain this, I'm burned out, et cetera, et cetera. So by understanding our astrology, our human design, and really getting connected with our guides, we can be more aligned with what is our highest purpose, what is our truest calling. And when we do that, we just, things flow a little bit easier. That isn't to say that entrepreneurship is easy at any point for any person, but when you are so committed to your mission, it makes it more clear as to why you're going through all of this.
Yes, girl. Beautiful. Thank you. Yeah. So amazing. So we have a lot to talk about and it's very exciting. So today we're going to discuss the soulpreneur life. So what does it mean to be a soulpreneur? We understand entrepreneurs. They have multiple businesses. They're business folks. What is a soulpreneur? Would you like to help with that?
Sure. I would say that a soulpreneur is focused on building a business that is actually nourishing to their soul, nourishing to, or aligning with, you know, their higher self, their higher calling, what their purpose is, what their soul mission is, and using that as their platform, as opposed to just thinking about, okay, what's the thing that's going to make me the most money in the shortest amount of time? There's a lot of purpose behind it, and a lot of meaning behind it.
Yes. Yeah. Your soul mission. Like, what were you born to do? What are your gifts that you're here to share with the world? And how can we make money with that? You know, like, we should be rewarded for being our most authentic selves, our most genuine, beautiful, soulful selves. Like, we should be rewarded for that, you know, like gold stars for your attendance. Like, how about more than attendance? How about like, hey, are you really shining in every single moment that you are given?
Right.
Yes.
Yep.
Girl, okay, soulpreneur life. Yes. Okay, so that sounds fantastic. It's about purpose, it's about being authentic and really like tuning into your intuition
Absolutely.
and your higher self, right?
Yep.
Okay, so in the soulpreneur life, like what does that look like for you?
Okay. Do we want like play by play? What does my regular day look like?
Yeah, I do. And I'm just going to change the title so everybody knows. This is what we're talking about. This is Alexandria.
Okay, so every day looks different. But every day looks different because I know my design. Like I know what my human design says, what it implies about how I operate the best. So I feel like that's actually kind of the first thing is like understanding how you actually work and function, and then building your life around that. So for me, that doesn't mean that I'm going to be doing the same thing every day, but it does look similar each day. So I wake up, and a lot of times one of the first things that I do, other than have my coffee and breakfast, is I have a practice where I'm tuning in to my guides, to my higher self. My personal way of doing that is through the Akashic Records, but many people are doing it in many other ways as well. So that could be meditation, or that could just be journaling, whatever feels good to you. And then after that, then I'm really diving into like the business stuff. Like, what do I need to get done today? Who do I need to be emailing? Connecting with my clients, connecting with my group program. And I'm doing that, until I want to stop, I guess, So a lot of times what that will look like is, I'm working pretty consistently until my partner gets home, and then we're having dinner, we're connecting and talking about each other's days. And then sometimes if there's like really things going on, I'll go back to work because that's what feels good in the moment.
Yeah.
So I think one of the things that is really important to remember with that though is tuning into your energy and tuning into, is this actually going to be the most beneficial use of your time and the way that you can be of service the best? Because sometimes, we can overwork ourselves because we think that that's going to be the best way to be of service. But oftentimes, our guides have other ideas. They're like, no, you need to probably take a break, go to sleep, something. So that would be the other thing I'd add.
Beautiful girl. Okay, so Lexi, this is her name for short, but website is Alexandria. So she wakes up, she nourishes her body, right? She's got the food, she's got the, the caffeine if she wants it. And then she does her spiritual practice, which looks like going into the Akashic Records. And tell us a little bit more about the Akashic Records. Okay. What does that mean? How do you get there?
Okay. So the best way that I can describe it is kind of like a metaphysical record or database. Actually, more of like a database of everything that ever was, is, and ever will be. So what a lot of people do, or what I started to do in order to get into the records, is I actually use the pathway prayer process from Linda Howe. And so it's basically saying a prayer to get into the records, and you're basically putting yourself in a meditative state and connecting with like the heart of the records if you're using her process. And then once you're done, like when you're in there, it kind of feels different for everyone. So I guess I won't really fully explain that because I don't want to make anyone feel like wrong for how they experience it. So everybody feels it differently, but then you do have a closing prayer to actually close the records. So at this point, like once you are in there and you are building a relationship with your guides, some people like myself have been guided to not use the pathway prayer process. Not that it's wrong by any means, but my guides have said, this is not the way that we want you to interact with us. So, so then they've instructed me of what I should actually do. So you can get into the records in many different ways. In fact, when we were doing Reiki, she was doing Reiki on me and it was amazing. First time ever. Fantastic. I was in the records. I actually was going to do my personal prayer to get into the records, and I just had a very strong feeling of, you don't need to do that. That's what this is. That's Reiki does. I was like, okay,
girl.
message received. And yeah, it was amazing.
Beautiful. Oh my gosh, girl. Yes. Okay, so the Soulpreneur life incorporates spiritual practice of some sort, right? Like some of us are yoga people, some of us are meditation people, some of us are sound healers, some of us are Akashic Record folks. Some people probably will pull like tarot cards, oracle cards. They might go to their ancestor altar and like leave an offering, you know, like some water or some fruit or something for the ancestors. Maybe you light a candle and you set your intentions for the day or your business or whatever. Maybe you speak some affirmations. But regardless, soulpreneurs have some kind of spiritual practice that really like anchors them and grounds them in their work, and it makes sure that they're on the right path, right? And like if you are feeling like maybe you have all these different invitations, you have all these different directions you can go, how do you probably be the difference is that, you know, we're not necessarily out here doing like the guerrilla marketing and like the funnels and all that shit. We are more like tuning within. There's so much business advice out there.
Yeah. But I
often,
would say like your guides might direct you to doing the ClickFunnels and the things.
Yes.
There's nothing wrong with that by any means. But I think the difference is what you're explaining is like, what's the first step? Are you just going to do the things that are advised because that's been pushed?
Right.
Or are you going to tune into what's actually aligned with you and your higher self and then let that guide the conversation? Because it's very possible it's going to guide you to the standard advice that is already proven. But in some cases it won't. So
like are you going outside first or are you going inside first?
Yeah.
And then does that really feel good for you? Like the other day I had a bunch of invitations. Like, so projectors, we wait for the invitation and then we accept according to our authority. So I was like, Lexi, I have all these invitations, like I'm confused, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, what does your higher self say? And I was like, oh, okay. let me like turn it back inside. And the higher self, she asked a really good question. Do you remember what the question was?
That I asked?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I could pull out my phone, but no, I don't remember.
Okay, it was, how can I be of service?
Oh, yeah.
Like asking your guides, like, because we are the vessel, we are the channel for all the goodness that's going to come through. And if you're a soulpreneur, you're probably a healer of some sort, a teacher of some sort, a coach, mentor, and essentially someone that wants to affect positive change in the world, or you wouldn't really have a spiritual practice probably and care about the greater good.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think what has happened in the past though is that we've become obsessed with spiritual practice to get things. Right. And so that's more of like being spiritual for the ego purposes. Yeah. Where we're really moving to and what is actually far more aligned is like tapping into your spiritual practice and your higher self for the benefit of being of service to others. It might get you things that you really want, but the question is that your sole purpose, or is your sole purpose just to help and to serve?
Totally, girl. Yeah, like somebody, a human design girl. If you go on Instagram, you look at the hashtag human design, you'll find a bunch of different folks, right? So one of the chicks that I follow, she said, Manic Manifesting. So if you're, you know, like a spiritual junkie, like Gabby Bernstein is a soulful entrepreneur, right? She writes all these books, she has conferences, she has trainings, etc. And she has books to really like unlock your abundance and really help you create a spiritual practice. And so anyways, Manic Manifesting is when you're just like obsessed with like getting and like receiving. So it's actually like selfish at the end of the day. You're like, okay, well, I want like all this money, I want a new car and a new house and blah, blah, blah. But like, you know, you might get that in some ways with some of these business strategies, but your soul is probably going to be like frowning upon it. Like, okay, wait, hold on. Is this what we were born to do? Is this what our natural talents are here for? Is this like the community that we're meant to serve? Yeah. Manic Manifesting, like,
That's a good one.
Isn't that interesting?
Do you remember who said that?
It was Human Design with Tiffany. Do you know her? She has bright blonde hair. She's a manifesting generator. Yeah. But
I keep my personal practice online is to keep my blinders on. So I don't follow many other people doing similar things to me, but I do always like to hear like, oh, that's it's really cool.
Yeah.
Like word.
Yeah, it was good. Like she basically had a meme, right? And it was like her with all these quotes, and it was like manic manifesting 5 to 10K a month, you know, grinding, hustle, blah, blah, blah. And then it was like aligned business, making way more money and fueling your soul and feeling nourished along the way, right? And I think that so much of the soulpreneur journey is like making time for yourself, spiritual practices, but also just like personal self-care, like whether you need to incorporate like an acupuncturist or a chiropractor, a Reiki master, an Akashic Records reader.
Well, in a lot of ways, it's same.
Yeah.
You know, so it's not even, I think that, well, in my personal spiritual practice, what has really started to illuminate for me is that everything is connected. And I know that that's not a new thing to say and that you've probably heard it and intellectually you understand what that means. But it's so much more than what your intellectual mind can comprehend. It's so ingrained, like everything really is connected. It's all together.
Yes.
You know, self-care is spiritual care, is spiritual hygiene, because you're caring for the vessel that is carrying out your soul mission. You know, there's so many things. And a lot of people coming into entrepreneurship find out that entrepreneurship itself is its own spiritual journey.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a lot of times they will find their spiritual practice or their connection to something greater through beginning and starting and maintaining their own business.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it really takes like all of you, like all of your soul, all of your heart, and all of your like intentions. Like you really have to consider who you're hanging out with, consider, you know, how you're fueling yourself, how you're taking care of yourself, how you're going to navigate like your relationship and your family, especially like during Corona, all of that was like turned upside down. And like a lot of soulpreneurs didn't make it because they didn't have the foundation, right? Yeah. And being able to really adapt and like put your faith in the universe, like surrendering to like, okay, I know I want to be as a business owner. I know I want to be of service, but maybe how it looks, I can surrender that and be willing to receive the projects and clients that is best suited for me, right? Like I was over here, I bought my singing bowls, right? Like love the singing bowls. And all of a sudden they're like, Anna, I want the sound healing. And I was like, damn, okay. Like I did not really know that that was going to be like a crucial part of my business. Right. But I have to follow it because it fuels me. I get to meditate when I do this and Reiki, and it's seriously changing people's lives. So like being open to like what that soul business looks like for you. Yeah,
absolutely. There was something I was going to say. Well, I actually have a question. Do you believe to be a soulpreneur, you have to have a spiritual related business? Like you have to be doing spiritual things in your business?
That's a good question. Soulpreneur. I mean, in my ideal world, it's a yes, that your business has to do with, you know, fueling people's souls, enlightening people, taking really beautiful care of them. However, I know that there are a lot of business owners out there whose business might be like financial, for example, or, you know, construction or something like that, but they are incredibly soulful. You know what I mean? Like I know a lot of landscapers, for example, that are so rooted, so freaking grounded. They go to the ashram on the weekends, but you would never know if they showed up at your house ready to like renovate your backyard, right? Yeah. So I guess it's kind of open.
That's I feel like it's open. It just it's more about how you run your business as opposed to what the business is. Because there's plenty of spiritual entrepreneurs that are actually very far off of what they're teaching spiritually. And I'm just like, how did you build this very successful business? It doesn't make any sense because you know, you're not fully aligned in what is like true and good and pure. So I think I would say like just because somebody has a spiritual business, it doesn't necessarily mean they're a soulpreneur.
That's true.
And someone who doesn't have a spiritual business is not necessarily not a soulpreneur.
Totally, dude. Like, for example, there are a lot of folks out there that are leading like plant medicine retreats, for example, but their intentions are not really in the right place. They're kind of taking advantage of people and like, you know, playing shaman, maybe some cultural appropriation going on. And they're not like, that's not their sole mission. They're not supposed to be ayahuasqueros or whatever, you know, like they're kind of doing it because it's trendy and like there is a market for that right now. But I also think the closer you are to your spiritual journey, the easier it is going to be for you to point those people out and to be like, okay, she's on it, she's not, I'm over here. And
totally agree.
It's like protecting your energy. And even with like partnerships, dude, like if I did not have this like really amazing team of healers that I work with on a regular basis, I might be working with mentors who are not really suited for me. And I've actually done that in the past where it was like, no, like one person actually asked me to choose between, you know, yoga and organizing. And I was like, nope, it's both actually. But I took a detour. But along that lesson, like I learned a lot of things along the way. Literally. And like, honestly, I knew it from the beginning. The first time I met this person, I was like, no, he doesn't get me. Like he doesn't, you know?
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's, I mean, like, I guess to tie it back to what I do, like, that's why knowing yourself is so important. Because you can cut a lot of that out. Like, how many times have you hired a business coach and I was just like, this isn't really getting me where I needed to be. Right. Because they're telling you all this stuff that you already know doesn't work for you. So yeah, it's just so important to understand yourself, how you work, but also like why are you here? Like, what is the thing? And being on your own spiritual path and being true to that and having faith in that.
Yes. Which means we got to say no to some things, right? Oh, yes. And it's like every time I say no to something, the universe rewards me. It's like I get a new phone call, I get a new message, I get like a payment in my PayPal, I get, you know, some kind of like ding from the universe that I'm on the right path. And I'm like, okay, cool. So like every day I just have these like little questions that I ask myself. I ask my intuition, I ask my higher self, okay, is this a yes or a no? And I like to keep it simple, just black and white, yes or no. And the more that I do that, the more flow I have in my day, the more like magical, crazy synchronicities and like alignment happens for me. It's like I'm just floating and like, oh, I run into like all these friends and it's like, oh my gosh, you're here too. That's amazing. And then it's just like wild. But the more that you do that and you just have faith, you make those decisions according to your gut, your intuition, like you're golden. Like your higher self is never going to lead you astray.
Right.
That's what I like to tell people. Like we often like talk ourselves out of it and we remember, oh, like, but wait, like this book told me to do that. Or this person told me to do this. It's like, wait, hold up. What's good for you though?
Yes. I was actually doing a presentation on this a few weeks ago about just intuition and how to connect with it. And so I feel like it's important to add right now, like if you have been on that path of trying to connect with your intuition and you've just been like, well, I don't think I can trust it anymore because it seems like when I follow it, something terrible happens or, you know, whatever. That is usually happening for a couple of reasons. The first one is you're probably not actually following your intuition. You have a gut reaction of something and then your mind pops in immediately and is like, here's all the reasons why you shouldn't listen to that. Or it is you have actually followed what your intuition said, but you were attached to some kind of impression of what that would give you. And then that didn't happen. And so then it feels wrong or it feels bad, or on the face of it, maybe it is something that's really terrible, but there was actually some other purpose for that.
Right. Like a greater lesson that you were supposed to learn, you know? And like, you know, the spiritual path is not always like rainbows and lollipops. Like there are dark nights of the soul. There are scarcity moments. There is confusion. There are, you know, souls that are really not all love and light, but like, the more you tune in, the more that you just have this like field around you and like you just can't be touched. It's like you become like a freaking superhero. And I truly believe like Raising Dion, freaking the Avengers, Superman, Batman, like we love those movies because we know that like that's really us at the end of the day. Like why would they be making millions of dollars like at the box office blowing up if we didn't see ourselves in them? Right?
Yeah.
Girl. Mm.
Precisely.
Precisely. The soulpreneur life. Beautiful. So good, girl. Okay, so let's see. Where are we at right now? We are doing good. Okay. Why don't you tell us, Lexi, just a tiny bit about human design? We talked about that earlier. How can you find out your type?
Yeah. Okay. So human design is a quantum system that combines several ancient systems in one. So what it really tells you is basically how you function, how your energy works, how, you need to operate within your day to have the best results, but also how do you interact with other people? How are they interacting with you? So it's very energy and frequency based. So if you want to find your information, you would go to, I suggest two, either mybodygraph.com or jovianarchive.com. Both of those are going to populate your chart. If you're familiar with the chakra system, what you're going to see is a body that basically has energy centers all over it, which is, the chakra system is one of the things that's in human design. So you might not necessarily know exactly what you're looking at, but what you're looking for is the statement of what is your energy type, what is your strategy, and what is your authority. Those are the top three things that you need to pay attention to before you pay attention to anything else, especially if this is something new, and especially if you haven't been living in accordance to what those things mean, which most of us adults are not living in that way. Once we find out that information, a lot of times we're like, oh my goodness, this is so true. I've always known this about myself, but I've been conditioned to be something else. So yeah, quick and dirty.
Yes, that's great. That's great. Yes. And I actually have a book right here. I can show you guys.
Oh, yes.
So I'm going to pull out, okay. This is essentially what your human design chart will look like. So yes, it looks freaking crazy, but if you just know your type, it's a game changer. Just like I told you, when I met Lexi and she literally was like, you're a projector and these are the basics of the projector, I was like, whoa. And then for basically 2 years, I've been adjusting my life, my business, my family. And now I'm like reading my kids and any business partners. It's like, hey, let me look at your chart and make sure that we are actually aligned, right? So beautiful, girl. Yeah. Okay, amazing. So next question is, what do you do particularly and how can we reach you?
Cool. So I work with entrepreneurs. So if you are wanting to start a business or you already have your business and you're trying to build it in a way that is really aligned with your higher self, how your energy works, and it feels really good and nourishing to you while also allowing you to serve others the way that you want to serve others. That's what I do. I work with one-on-one in that kind of way. I am currently doing a group program. So as we reach certain checkpoints, what I'm actually going to do is release the replays. So it would be like a course type of situation. So if you want to do it yourself, then this course called Business Harmonics would actually be really helpful for you, so that you can understand, okay, this thing in my astrology, this thing in my human design. So what does that mean for me business-wise? So that is what I do.
Yay. Yeah. Beautiful, girl. And I was in her course, okay? And it is freaking phenomenal. And it teaches you so much about yourself. And we kind of mentioned this earlier. It kind of, it gives you like the practical tools and tips that you need and just like focuses your energy, like sometimes it can be confusing about where do I start? What kind of business should I do? There's so many options. I have so many talents and strengths. Yep. This will really point you to your like true north and your destiny. And it just makes things hella easier. Like I swear I use this with everybody now. Like it's kind of a non-negotiable for me these days.
Yeah, for sure. There's a wealth of information in your astrology and your human design that it really is like a manual for yourself. Yeah. And I don't understand why we don't collectively use that more regularly.
Oh yeah. Like I could see teachers in school. I used to be a classroom teacher. Like that would be game changing. When I was a teacher, I was like, yo, what's your sign? Immediately. And just knowing your sun sign, I could approach you how you need to be approached. And everything was easier. Discipline, getting their attention, finding out like what rewards would work best for these kids. Like literally it was game changing.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Beautiful, Lexi. Okay. So how can we reach you?
So my website is alexandria-astrology.com.
Right.
And then also, oh yeah, over
Yes.
here. This is so weird. Okay. And then over here, we have Instagram, alexandria.rollet. And then I do have a newsletter. That's probably the best way to be consistent with me, because I'm not consistent here on Instagram.
Yeah, girl.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Get on people's newsletters. If
Yeah.
you have like a business crush on someone, go look up their newsletter and just see like, how do they do things? How do they speak? Right? Like you and I have learned just by like following other people, looking at their stuff and being, you know, in different courses that light us up. And that's how you like, you learn on the fly. You know, you don't need to have every credential, every system in place. It's like, yo, just do what your fucking soul wants you to do and you'll be fine.
Yes. Oh, and I also forgot, I don't know how I forgot, but I do have a podcast myself called Mercury and the Eighth. It started out as like a transit podcast where how do you use transits for your business, but that requires so much consistency, and consistency actually isn't very well in my chart. So
nice.
I've shifted away from that and being more like talking about soulpreneurship and like how to build your business in a more aligned way. And so we're talking about astrology, human design, etc., all kinds of things. So if that's your bag, Mercury in the Eighth.
Mercury in the Eighth.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my gosh, this has been amazing. Okay, so I have one final question that I ask everybody.
Okay.
What is something that you have recently let go of?
Oh man. I recently let go of, physically, I am redoing my office. So I've been selling a bunch of stuff in there.
Wonderful.
So totally new energy coming into my office. And then I've also let go of more energetically. I've let go of like, I want to say, yeah, I've let go of, and this is cool because this is kind of full circle. I didn't realize how attached I was to the idea of I need to make X number of dollars on a regular basis. I didn't realize how attached I was to that. And I completely forgot about how much, like, the reason why I'm doing this is to help other people and to serve others and to be of service, right? And to be more heart-centered, more heart-led. But I was so focused on the money part of it. So that is something I don't think that I've fully let go, because I'm really working on that abundance mindset and not being so much in scarcity. But that is something I would say like I've about 80% released that at this point.
Yes. Fuck yeah. And that like runs in your family. That's generational. It's so deep, you guys, that it's going to require some like serious energy work and dedication and faith to move that. But once you do, it's like, hey, you are going to be rewarded. We are meant to be rewarded. We live on earth. We're supposed to have and enjoy nice things. Like there's nothing wrong with that. And, it's exciting. Yeah, it's exciting. We're going to be paid for these wonderful things.
Yes.
Yay, you guys. Okay, so if you're looking to listen to this episode or past episodes, go to my website, alignwithanna.com. This is the Align with Anna podcast, and this is season 2. So season 1 was my baby business, okay? It was Declutter with Anna. I was doing the feng shui just like you talked about. Yes, that shit is important. It is crucial. Like I'm always going to teach that information. However, I'm teaching a grander theme now. So that's season 1. Season 2 is like the renewed spiritual guide for soulpreneurs. And I'm so excited to have all of my favorite guests. Lexi's my first one.
Yeah.
Yay. And yeah, I'm just like, if you're a soulpreneur and you do not have your freaking tribe of like fellow business chicks or dudes that you just trust and you can call and you can just like be together, I would say that that's foundational, you know. You don't have to do this by yourself. You do not have to do this by yourself, and it's way faster and way more fun if you got your business besties with you.
Mm-hmm.
And there are a lot of beautiful souls out there that you can meet, like online or in person, and like just like let the universe connect you. Like the universe has your back.
Yes.
Yay! The universe has your back. Don't forget it. Okay, you all. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Lexi, for being here.
Of course.
This is beautiful. You're amazing.
Back at you. You're also amazing.
Oh my God.
Amazing people coming together.
We're coming together.
Yes.
Okay, you guys. I love you, and we'll see you next time on the next episode. Toodles.